Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Palestine Chronicle Live. We're just following a developing story in Gaza at the moment. Gaza has been under attack for 5 days. We are now into the sixth day of bombing, as it's still early time in Gaza. And we are talking about injuries, we are talking about real devastation happening at a time that Gaza is already struggling under new restrictions imposed by Israel and the Israeli army. So let's just watch this video and we'll get a short news report about what is actually happening in Gaza. Now with me, I have Romana Rubio. You know Romana. She has been with the Palestinian Chronicle for quite a while now, and she is the managing editor of the Chronicle. Romana, update us on what is happening in Gaza at the moment.
Yes, Ramzi, as you said, last night, the Israeli army bombed targets in Gaza for the fifth day in a row. And the previous day, so on Saturday night, Palestinian civilians, including women and children, were injured by two Israeli missiles. Yesterday, the Palestinian Power Authority announced that they were forced to shut down the sole electricity plant in the besieged Gaza Strip, as its fuel is expected to run out since Israel stopped fuel supplies entering on Wednesday. Meanwhile, Palestinian fishermen are under constant attack by the Israeli Navy. And yesterday, the Israeli authorities announced that they were completely closing Gaza's fishing zone. There is no doubt, Ramzi, that the tensions are rising, while the Israeli army claims that these actions are in retaliation for incendiary balloon attacks. But why is Israel bombing Gaza, and why now? How can the latest Israeli strikes on the besieged Strip be understood in the broader context?
Of course. Now we thank you for that, Romana. Now we understand that Benjamin Netanyahu, the Israeli right-wing prime minister, has been quite in battle for quite some time. He is desperate. He's losing ground among the political elites, and now he is officially on trial. So he is desperate for any kind of political capital. The biggest prize for him, before I tell you about the biggest prize, which is his deal with the United Arab Emirates, was he attempted for quite some time to instigate a conflict with Hezbollah in Lebanon. He miserably failed. He tried repeatedly. He spoke about, he killed a prominent member of Hezbollah in Syria, and he tried to start something at the border. Hezbollah did not bite, basically, and even Israeli media itself said that what is happening at the border is quite exaggerated, at the border between Lebanon and Israel, of course. So when that battle failed, he went, and in my opinion, I think they hurried the process of signing the deal with the United Arab Emirates to present himself as the victorious Israeli leader or the triumphant leader who is able to break this supposed siege on Israel. The kind of discourse that the Israeli media has used to describe this latest achievement, which is kind of breaking the will of the Arab world and taking yet another Arab country from the pro-Palestine camp, reminds me of the way that the Israeli media also dealt with Netanyahu's conquests in Africa, especially when he managed to strike a deal with Mali, a country that is majority Muslim in the northern African region. Now, they are doing the same thing. Netanyahu is a conqueror. Netanyahu might be down, but he's still able to achieve great things for Israel. And this deal with the United Arab Emirates is going to be quite consequential as far as the Israeli economy and diplomacy are concerned. But he also needs more than that. He does not want this to be understood that Israel has in any way compromised to the Arabs. This nonsense that we've been hearing, that the deal means that there is no annexation of the West Bank, is not true. Netanyahu himself, even the Trump administration, said annexation is the matter of time. Now, we also understand that annexation has already taken place. De facto annexation has already taken place in the West Bank. So what are the Israelis talking about as far as annexation is concerned? And why does this really matter to Netanyahu? Annexation for Netanyahu is a political tool aimed at galvanizing greater support among his constituency. What he was looking for is not a de facto annexation, but what we call de jure annexation, is kind of confirming or turning into law that existing de facto annexation. But he was also denied that for many reasons, and we've discussed them in the past. Now, there is some concern in Israel that does this deal with the United Arab Emirates means that the cancellation of the plan for complete and total annexation. So I think what he's trying to do, of course, we know that this is not the case, and annexation is already happening, it's already taking place, and Palestinians living in Area C, they already feel it, but he also wants to create this big, fireworks show, this big distraction. On one hand, I am achieving these great diplomatic achievements, I am signing these massive billion-dollar deals with a very important economic hub in the region. I'm getting Israel out of its isolation, but I am also keeping Gaza isolated. So don't think that there is any tit for tat here. The status quo ante remains the same. Gaza not only will continue to be isolated, but will be bombarded as well. We also heard about the killing of a young man in Jerusalem today. Nothing has changed. I haven't sold out. I haven't compromised to the Arabs. In fact, the Arabs are the ones who sold out, which is sadly true. The Arabs who have compromised. So this is kind of one of those moments in which Netanyahu is trying to show himself and his government in a very triumphant sense. That's the idea behind the bombing of Gaza at the moment.
And Gaza is often a political tool by both Gantz and Netanyahu to show strength, in front of the Israeli constituency. So what do you expect to happen in the near future to Gaza as far as Netanyahu?
If there is one issue that the Israelis agree on, especially with the two main camps within the current coalition government in Israel, is their hate for Gaza and the need to bomb Gaza even more. They disagreed on various issues, some of it serious, some of it quite superficial, but Gaza was the defining subject in the Israeli elections. Benny Gantz thinking Netanyahu is too weak on Gaza. In fact, the idea of being weak, that is the term that they have used repeatedly. I mean, imagine after everything that Netanyahu has done to destroy Gaza, they carried out near genocide in Gaza, yet they still feel like he is too weak. Now, Netanyahu was also too cautious not to push for yet another war before the elections because of the consequences of this war did not work out in his favor. It could also be disastrous politically. So he was holding off. Now that there is a coalition government, and everybody in Israel is very excited about the war. Benny Gantz is the one who's pushing for greater. In fact, you mentioned this earlier. This fishing, the shutting down the fishing zone near besieged Gaza is actually a Benny Gantz decision, not a Netanyahu's decision. So there is complete agreement within Israel that we need to do more to subdue Gaza. And as a result, Netanyahu feels more comfortable because if something goes wrong within this calculation, within this political gamble, it will not be Netanyahu alone who is going to be held accountable for it. Benny Gantz, his main contender, is going to also be held accountable for it. And as a result, Netanyahu feels now he has more political space, more room to navigate, and where he can bomb Gaza day after day after day, and maybe take that a bit further into a state of war, actual war on Gaza, without feeling the terrible political price or consequences that Israeli politicians have paid in the past when their gambles, whether in Gaza or in Lebanon, backfired.
Thank you very much, Ramzi. Of course, we are going to be ready to go live again if the situation evolves in one sense or another. We are really close to the population in Gaza. That tomorrow we're going to endure another struggle because the sole electricity plant will be shut down. So our thoughts, of course, are with the civilian population in Gaza who are, always resisting and struggling, of course.
Absolutely, and we will leave our viewers with this fresh video that just came out of Gaza, showing the extent of the Israeli bombing. By tomorrow, hopefully, our two correspondents in Gaza will be sending us reports and videos to help us understand the nature of the Israeli targets and the extent of the damage inflicted by the Israeli army in the last few days. Thank you.
Thank you.